Welcome to the latest edition of Dolphins In Depth, a podcast provided to you by the Miami Herald. I am Omar Kelly, Miami Herald Dolphins columnist, and joining me is Isaiah Smalls, Miami Herald's beat writer. Listen, Isaiah, this is the depths of the offseason. We're seeing some major games this weekend where it's showing you the difference of caliber of teams. If you compare yourself to the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills or I would say Philadelphia Eagles, I think you're naive. However, I will make this point. There's no reason that the Washington Commanders can be horrendous last year and then make it to the Super Bowl the next year with a new head coach and a rookie starting quarterback. And the Dolphins are in year, 7 of a rebuild? It just shows you that, hey, it doesn't take you 7 years to build a strong foundation of a team. However, why do you think the Dolphins have not reached that pinnacle, whereas the Washington Commanders, they could easily do it, get into the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just tell a quick story. I remember back in the offseason, right, when the Commanders came down, right, and we were watching them against the defense, and actually, you were watching them against the defense.
Yes.
I was praying that I got the chance to watch Jayden Daniels because I was intrigued, but I was watching the Dolphins offense. We were watching the Commanders offense, and I vividly remember you saying that he's lighting them up. Like this, it was bad.
He was lighting them up. It was touchdown. It was a red zone day. I very specifically remember this. I always and on top of that, I always thought Jayden Daniels should have been the number one pick, not Caleb Williams, and I said that publicly. Jayden Daniels was that dude. Now, and I felt like his skills translated to the NFL, where I thought Caleb would have more of an issue and would kind of struggle to get command of a team. But then watch Jayden Daniels in person on that red zone day. And red zone, for those who don't know, is they start at the 20, and then teams just continue to drive till they score, which is, they're in the red zone. And so it's the day you're working on scoring. And it's a tighter area. Defenses are tighter. It's more constricted. It's harder to score. And all you saw was touchdown, 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 touchdown. And I think like one play was not a touchdown. It was like a drop pass. And then it was touchdown, touchdown. And I was just like, damn.
And that's what I heard, guys. That is what I heard. And so from there, and then just the short sample size that I saw, obviously in the preseason game, I kind of had an idea that, okay, Jayden Daniels was going to make some noise this year. So you asked what's the biggest difference between the, and I hate to make it this, because I don't think it's just this. I mean, Jayden Daniels is just unflappable, right? Like, he's just, whatever is going on, he has the poise of like a 5-year vet. And not to say that, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to make a comparison between anything going on with the Dolphins. I'm just saying, like, when you have a guy like that obviously, everyone in the locker room believes in, it's amazing, right? And you combine that with a good head coach, right? And they're really tailoring this offense to Jayden Daniels' skill set. So now we ask him, okay, what's the biggest difference between the Dolphins? And then, look, I think having a guy that is a threat to run the ball is always a good thing at the quarterback position. Tua can use his legs, but I think in today's league, you need to have somebody that can run the ball a little bit. That to me is big.
I think that's a fad. It's a trend. It's in vogue right now. It's coming. More of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL are African-American quarterbacks, more athletic quarterbacks. And understand this is coming full circle for me, because I've followed this sport for so long. And back in the Charlie Ward, the first team I ever covered was Florida State during the Charlie Ward era. And during those times, it was not okay to be a black quarterback. Mm-hmm. You had all kinds of knocks on you. You couldn't run. Anquan Bolden, I covered him when he was recruited at UM. He was a Mr. Florida high school football as a quarterback, changed to wide receiver. Peter Warwick was a quarterback, changed to wide receiver. This is Allen Iverson was a quarterback, chose bad. Allen Iverson was actually, according to Bobby Bowden, was probably the greatest coach I've ever covered. Pat Riley, but Bobby Bowden. Allen Iverson was the best quarterback that he'd ever seen at a high school level.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that because I remember I asked that question because you're talking about this was during the Ronald Curry era, and he was like, you recruited Ronald Curry, and then I was like, who's the best quarterback that you've ever seen at the high school level? He thought for a minute, and he was just like, there was that young guy. He chose basketball over football. His name is Allen something. Allen Iverson? And he was, that's him. He got himself in a little bit of trouble. And I'm doing a bad Bobby Bowden impersonation. But yeah, he's like Allen Iverson was unstoppable on the football field. And
I've seen those highlights too.
Diminutive little guy. And we saw he was unstoppable on the basketball field as well. But getting back to the conversation.
Yeah.
I personally am not into the athletic scrambling quarterback. Now, I think it benefits you to have a quarterback who can scramble in times when things break down, like a Patrick Mahomes. But going the route of, my quarterback needs to be able to scramble and run and get first downs like a Josh Allen, unless you're built like Josh Allen or Cam Newton, I think it's just a recipe for disaster. Look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is walking into the NFC Championship game banged up.
That's because he can't. That's his fault. We're not talking about
that. You telling me how that's his fault then?
Yeah, I just sometimes some of these hits he be taking are his fault. Like you got to get rid of the ball, sir. You got to get rid of the ball. But I just want to say something about what you just said about it being a fad, and this is why I disagree. I think because of that history that you mentioned, right, where there have been people historically overlooked because of things that have nothing to do with stuff on the field. This is why I don't think it's a fad, because I think now when you look at a Patrick Mahomes, right, like he's going for a three-peat. He very well could have the first three-peat in NFL history, right? I think the big thing there is that like when you have a coach that is willing to do like to tailor make their offense to the quarterback, obviously a little bit with what McDaniel did here, but obviously we have somebody that can run the ball that is a little bit different. I'm not saying you have to break off 40-yard runs like Jalen Hurts did against the Rams this past weekend, right? I just think that it's an added benefit, and I'll just keep it as something as simple as playing terms. Ohio State, right? We know how I feel about Ohio State. I've watched this team for a very long time, right? There's a lot of people that looked at Kyle McCord and what he did at Syracuse this year and said, wow, he could have done that with Ohio State's offense this year. And this is why I've disagreed. And I've talked about this with friends, everybody that listen. Will Howard can create a little bit with his legs. I'm not saying that you have to run him 9 times in the first drive like the Notre Dame did with Riley, because that's just going to gas your quarterback, right? I just like having, to your point, the ability when stuff breaks down, when the crap hits the fan, right? You have to be able to make a play, because that at the end of the day, as a quarterback, there's a lot on your shoulder. To me, that is the hardest position in sports because of what it demands for you on and off the field in terms of leadership. And the more you can give me, i.e. create with your legs, that is why I think that it is not a fad, because there's things that are off the field that kind of, manage their way onto the field and affected people's perceptions of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I am not a big believer and a big proponent for the athletic quarterback from this standpoint. Your bodies are not built to run and handle that beating, which is why you see quarterbacks like Lamar, even though he nearly ran for 1,000 yards, try to be more of a traditional quarterback. I prefer the traditional quarterbacks. Now, do I think that it's important for you to run for a first down 2 or 3 times a game? Absolutely. Do I think it's critical for you to take off like Patrick Mahomes does on third down? Patrick Mahomes is not a runner, but you know what? In the big moments, in the clutch moments, he's going to run. He's going to run. And it's cheating a little bit. So, yes, it benefits you to cheat a little bit. I'm just not building my offense around a quarterback because he's athletic and can scramble. I promise you, Jayden Daniels is not built like that. And as he continues to scramble around, you're going to see Jayden Daniels going to miss a season on IR. Jayden Daniels is going to spend 8 games. He's going to become Anthony Richardson, because yeah, no, okay. Let me time out. Tell me
Yeah.
Not ability wise, but you keep running, you gonna pay the price. And I know the league and the refs are trying to protect these quarterbacks as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, you pass that line of scrimmage, it's open season on your behind. And I'm trying to light you up.
I will say one thing though about Anthony Richardson. I think that is an example in the opposite direction of you seeing somebody that's built like Cam Newton and trying to build your offense around that. Irregardless of like the actual on-field quarterback play, which was meh, like one good meh from Anthony Richardson at Florida. So I think that kind of feeds into your point with building. I agree with you. I think you have to be able to have those just traditional quarterbacks stand in the pocket, make the correct throws. I don't know. It's something about that added ability that I think.
Yeah. I want you to run left laterally and stay in the play a little bit. But if your read is not there and your first instinct is let me take off, like Tyler Snoop Huntley, no shade intended. Like no, it's a no. It's a no for me. I can't do it. I can't do it. Won't do it. Okay. I will always take accuracy over scrambling ability. I will always take the ability to decipher and read the field over scrambling ability. I will always take precision passes, touch passes over scrambling ability. Now, do I want scrambling ability too? Yes, but I think I'm being greedy with that. Not every quarterback is built like Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes is going to, Patrick Mahomes is going to change the way quarterbacks play probably forever. He'll probably, if he wins a championship, which I believe that he will, because I believe that the NFL absolutely, without a doubt, unequivocally, certainly needs a dynasty. And you are going to have to, you're not going to be able to win on the scorecard against the Chiefs. You're going to have to knock them out. If it's close, you could forget about it because the refs are going to give them every single possible call. And I think you saw that last week. Like if you touch back, like there's a play where two defenders collide, their helmets clash. I would throw a flag on both of them because on both of those defenders for hurting each other. And Patrick Mahomes gets a pass, he gets a roughing the passer penalty. Like they collided with each other trying to avoid the brother and paid the cost and the consequence for it. And I think it gave them 3 points. But I do believe Patrick Mahomes will be the gold standard for the NFL, especially if he wins another championship. And bro, he's played in 4 already in 7 years. Like he's never not made it to an AFC championship game. So what do you want the man to do? Let's move on to a little bit of Dolphins news. We're talking about, let's start with Anthony Weaver. The Dolphins defensive coordinator, who produced, I believe his unit was ranked 10th. I'm not 100% certain. I'll look it up. He is in the running for the New Orleans job. Obviously, he interviewed for the Chicago Bears job. That job has been filled already by Ben Johnson, who I actually have history and familiarity with because he was part of, I believe, the Joe Philbin staff here. Ben Johnson went on to go work with Dan Campbell, and he's headed now and tabbed for the Bears job. And from what the word on the street is, he's going to be taking former Dolphins special teams coach Darren Rizzi with him. I shed a little tear because I thought Darren Rizzi would be a very perfect fit for Mike McDaniels. He would bring a toughness and in-your-face mentality to Mike McDaniels. I hate when people say the country club era of the Miami Dolphins, but
dang, I ain't heard that yet. That's crazy.
You haven't heard that yet?
Wow, no.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it, the country club era of the Miami Dolphins. In it, hey, listen, I do want to say something on this. Okay, how do you know that there's a tardiness problem and a late for meetings problem in the Miami Dolphins culture? Think about it. Let's think out the box here. How do you know that? You know how you know that?
How do I know that?
You know how the world knows that?
How?
Because 10 minutes before the players came in to address the media for the end of the year interviews, what was Mike McDaniel addressing to the team?
Yeah. Okay. The tardiness, the everything, and all that stuff is okay.
So I
Okay.
think that
Okay.
I think that they're laying it up for you right here on a silver platter.
Okay.
In terms of, okay, don't address this,
Yeah.
address this.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. It was an issue. Like, how many times? Let me ask you, how many times do you think you've seen players look at the clock and see, oh shoot, my meeting's about to start, and then start running out?
Yeah, you see that a lot,
All
the time.
Exactly. So okay, whatever people want to think. Yeah, I will say this: in the off-season program, when Tua was not participating, there are a lot of veterans who basically say, "Yeah, I ain't practicing. I ain't participating in this crap."
Yeah.
And that's the off-season program. Off-season programs are voluntary. It is what it is.
Mhm.
Now, this whole mandate that, we got to be more committed and we got to be more participant in the off-season program. It's all that ain't why you lost. That ain't why you got pushed around. That ain't why you were 8-9. You were 8-9 because your trenches were whack. Like, let's be real about it. And your quarterback missed 6.5 games.
Yeah.
Like, that had nothing to do with you being tardy for meetings and teams caught up to your offense, and your offense went from number 1 and number 6 the first 2 years you were in the NFL to number 18. That's why you were whack this year. Yeah. It ain't because players showed up late for meetings, and maybe because you still produced the top 10 defense despite the fact you had crap on defense, talent wise.
Yeah, I saw just to that end, like, who led the Dolphins in interceptions?
Oh yeah, Dobson.
That's hilarious.
And he barely played.
He
might have played like 3 games for the team. Like, yeah,
he started 3 games and just let them in interception. Wasn't even picked up to what, like,
mid-season?
Yeah, mid-season. Like, damn.
Sometimes it be like that. Listen,
go ahead, keep going.
When your safety's not giving you nothing, and they didn't give you nothing the whole year, it is what it is. When you don't have any pass rush, and I know everybody's loving the fact that Chop Robinson's all rookie team. I'm like, who else is going to be an all rookie team? Tell me. Chop Robinson
had lead all rookies in sacks.
Ooh, 6. Loving it. Like, come on, bro. Like, Chop Robinson isn't even an every down player, and I'm not hating on Chop Robinson. I'm just telling you, there's way more work. Like, compare Jalen Phillips' rookie season and Chop Robinson's rookie season. There is no comparison. Like, so let's calm down a little bit here. But the fact that you had a top 10 defense with no talent on your defense, no disrespect to Jalen Ramsey, Zach Sealer, Calais Campbell, Jordan Brooks, and yeah, that's about it. No offense to those guys. Who am I missing?
I mean, Kendall Fuller. Kendall Fuller is good.
All right. Okay. He's straight. Oh, see? Okay. You see what you did there? He's straight. If I tell you a Joan is straight, you be like, what? Now I'm good, right?
7, like a 7? Like,
no, that's not. No. That's a 6. 6.5.
6.5.
Hold on. If I say, hey, Isaiah, I got this lady you gotta meet. She's straight. Like,
I'm good.
See? Okay. So why we out here like saying, oh, he's straight? He's straight.
You got it.
Like, nah, you gotta be better than straight. You gotta have a little something to you.
I feel you. All right, you're right.
It was a straight defense. Like,
yeah.
But Anthony Weaver's still here. He's a candidate still for the New Orleans Saints job. Had a second round of interview with the Saints, an in-person interview. Do you feel like that means he's going to be a front runner for for that job?
I was thinking so until I saw Alvin Kamara's tweet saying that he wants Dan Rizzi.
That ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
Look, I hear you. But when one of your best players on your team speaks up like
that, Alvin Kamara probably gonna be cut at the end of the season. Like, probably gonna cut this off season. Let me look at his money. Let me look at his money.
All right, so I say that so I do think I will say that though. I do think that he is in the running for this job. Usually, when it comes to the Rooney Rule, it's like they will do everything they power to kind of skirt around it. But obviously, with what Anthony Weaver did this past year, his previous experience, like, you know, everyone was saying like that he's a leader, man. Like he will be a head coaching candidate, and if not this cycle, maybe the next cycle, right? And so obviously, you know, I don't want that. Probably the Dolphins don't want that to happen either. Like, obviously, you know, as a person, like, you know, do what you got to do. You know, get your bread. I'm all for that. Never gonna hate see another man get his money. But at the same time, you know, the Dolphins kind of need him. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, he brings a certain level of culture to the Dolphins, a little aura of toughness too, a little bit. Something that, you know, I think the players bought in, and I think that's very important, right? You think about how players talked about Vic Fangio. You think about players talking about Anthony Weaver. It's two very different things, right? And so I say that to say,
but is that a good thing considering Vic Fangio's leading the number
oh
one?
no, no. I'm not saying that those players are right talking about Vic Fangio the way they did. I'm just saying they're talking about him differently. By no comparison, I'm not comparing what they did. But, you know, I think that's it. I mean, the Eagles, they have a very young defense. It's very easy to get a bunch of young guys, a bunch of quote unquote castaways to buy into the program, right? You think
coming on Eagles castaways? What
castaways? Zach Bond was not supposed to have this season. Zach Bond played out of it. Like, we switched him to inside linebacker. He was like outside. He was pass rusher.
Wasn't he like a college inside linebacker or something like that? Like,
it doesn't matter. He was a pass rusher last year. We switched him to inside. Not we, but the Eagles switched him to.
No, you outing yourself. Don't hide who you are. You come here in every show and wearing different hats and everything. We know you an Eagle fan.
Whoa, objectivity, sir. But no. I say that to say, and then, like, you know, the Kenyon Mitchells and Cooper DeJeans, like, those are young guys. Reed Blankenship, like, that was a guy, again, a castaway. But I say all that to say, like, it's easier to get them to buy in. But I do think he's a viable candidate for the job. I think he would make a great head coach someday. The Saints, I know you wanted to talk about it. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But I do think the Saints are somewhat of an attractive job. I know we wanted to talk about what is the most attractive job. I personally would say
we got the jobs that still need to be filled. The Saints job, the Jets job, Jaguars job, Raiders job, and the Cowboys job. Now, obviously, the Cowboys are the number one team in the NFL. You can say whatever you want to say about whatever team you want. Yeah. What team do you see on national TV every week? No, and there's a reason that you see them on. Now, unfortunately, you got to deal with Jerry Jones.
And I feel the same way about the Jets, because I love the Jets roster, but, like, you got to deal with Woody Johnson. So, like,
you love the Jets roster.
I like it. The defense isn't bad. The offense, they have playmakers. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was
why they suck then.
Because Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson and Woody Johnson making decisions based off of a video game. That's why they suck.
It's his sons making decisions based on video game, or his nephews or grandkids. I don't know.
Look. They let Madden run their front office. So that's not okay.
If Madden approves the trade, then it's a good trade.
Okay, whatever. But I think I'm not a fan of those two jobs. I think the Saints are a more attractive job. I just think that, like, I just don't like going to teams where you don't have a quarterback right in place. And I know that
wait a minute, Saints got a quarterback in place. Derek Carr ain't trash now.
You talked about this last time. I don't want to get into this again.
Derek Carr is not trash.
He is not your future, though. He's not your future.
I believe Derek Carr, and I got to look it up, but I believe he owns the record for the most fourth quarter victories in the NFL. Like,
he's not your future.
The record.
He's not your future. And that's my thing. I think if I'm a coach coming to a new team, I want to build with a quarterback that I know is at least going to be there. What, he's probably going to sign a 3-year deal. Through the end of my 3 years, are you confidently telling me that Derek Carr is going to be there through the end of your 3 years? And even aside from that, because Derek Carr is good, but I think one of the worst places to be in professional sports is in the middle, because you're
Derek Carr, 33 years old. Quarterbacks can play till they're 40.
You're right. Do you want to have a 40-year-old Derek Carr employed on your team? Yes or no? Yes or no? No.
I'm sorry. Give me your alternative then, because it could be worse situations than Derek Carr.
Look. My thing is, and this is the point I was trying to make. One of the worst places to be in professional sports is in the middle, right? Because you're not good enough to get to get a high draft pick to draft somebody that can change your organization.
Good teams don't need that.
Bad enough to you're too good, to get a good draft pick. You're not bad enough to, you know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say I'm messing it up. I say all that to say Derek Carr will win you enough games to maybe like keep you at the 15th pick, right? But you're not getting a game changing guy at the 15th pick. You're not getting a game changing quarterback at the 15th pick. And I don't think and Derek Carr is a very short term rental. If I go there, I want to have a quarterback by year 2, maybe even year 3, probably year 2, so we can get the rookie stuff out the way. And heading into year 3, you know what I'm saying, we start to build on some stuff. That's just me personally.
I think I've covered some mediocre teams without a quarterback, and you don't have a chance when you don't have a quarterback. Derek Carr at least gives the New Orleans Saints a chance. They're in the weakest division in football. So things bounce the right way for you. I mean, at one point, I believe they had a winning record in the season till the bottom fell out on it, and they lost confidence in their coach. And, I believe Darren Rizzi was winning for a hot minute till he wasn't. And there's so many things that could go wrong in an NFL season that it's hard to look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They went from playoffs team to firing their head coach. Now do you I'm sorry, you can't convince me that I'm going to take Jacksonville's quarterback, which is
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. You can't convince me that I need to take Trevor Lawrence over Derek Carr. Everything equal, which it's not because one is younger than the other. But Trevor Lawrence has now gotten 2 head coaches fired. Not to say that it's all his fault, but
I don't think Urban Meyer was his fault. That wasn't his fault at all.
Let's move on. We also got Dolphins news with Ryan Crow. He is one of the Dolphins' young, promising defensive coaches. He coached the outside linebackers, who I don't think really particularly played very well, but I still I don't think they had.
There was injuries, man. There was injuries. You lose one of the main guys in Jalen Phillips. You're hoping to have Bradley Chubb come back. He basically said, "I'm not playing at MetLife," which is crazy. I agree with him though. I wouldn't be caught dead in that stadium on that field. But it's you cut the man some slack.
Whatever. He still had Emmanuel Ogbah out there, and Emmanuel had a decent season, especially for one playing with a torn bicep. So let me not be disrespectful, but he's a candidate for the New England Patriots job. The Dolphins got him off Mike Vrabel's staff. This would be him reuniting with Mike Vrabel if he gets the defensive coordinator job. I believe it's him and Terrell Williams who's up for the job. And I thought Terrell Williams, I had him here in Miami. He was one of the worst coaches that I've ever dealt with. Now, obviously, maybe he improved somewhere down the line, but I'm not. So I'm pretty certain that Ryan Crow will probably get that job. He's a young guy that Mike Vrabel has groomed his whole career.
Just some breaking news right here. They actually did hire Terrell Williams from Bleacher Report and Patriots.
Okay. Oh, well.
From Bleacher Report, I'm sorry, and NBC, excuse me.
Look at me, I'm wrong. Okay, so that means that Ryan Crow is probably going to be retained. All right, congratulations, Miami Dolphins. So that's out there. I did want to ask you about your opinion on what job out there, Saints, Jets, Jaguars, Raiders, Cowboys, would you want?
Me personally,
and why?
All right, and this is, I'm gonna for objectivity's sake, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna make a very compelling argument too. I think if you can get, and it's gonna be hard, right? Also, I'm gonna look at. Wait, hold on. Before I answer that question, I need to look up how old someone is real quick.
Let me answer.
You answer first.
I want the Jaguars job. And here's the reason why I want the Jaguars job. One, it's a developmental quarterback. Maybe if I can fix a quarterback, I could fix Trevor Lawrence, who was supposed to be a can't-miss prospect. I think they've got a good talent of young players. I actually like their GM, Trent Baalke. And You're in Florida, state taxes. A lot of players want to get into Florida for that reason.
Yeah.
And low expectations, man. Low pressure, low expectations.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. All right, so I was
And
gonna
the division is weak as hell.
yes. That you said that the NFC South was the weakest division. I immediately thought the AFC South, but you got the Texans in there. They made the division the last couple of years, so But and this is gonna sound insane, right? But I'm gonna make this argument, right? Just for parity's sakes, because I think we've talked about this before. The ownership, when we look at the Jets and the Cowboys, is terrible, right? And so that's gonna affect everything, right? You look at the Saints, that ownership isn't the best either because they don't spend the money on it. They don't spend the money. So then you got the Jaguars, and look, he's a little bit too hands off, Shad Khan. So then, but I agree with everything you said. However, I think if we're going to play the waiting game, the best roster out of all the teams that we mentioned are unfortunately the Cowboys, right? And if you could, I think so. That's the one. They were
great pass rusher, good quarterback, good wide receiver.
I think if you get a good running back, and this is why I would take them. Jerry Jones is 82 years old, right?
He's gonna pass it all down to his son. His son's already.
Right. And then you pray that his son is not his dad. You pray, but I think this team gives you the best chance to win, just because of win immediately. It's because of who they have. Like, that's not a bad roster. You look at the roster; they had injuries. Michael Parsons was banged up all year. I don't think it's a bad roster. I think, and because they're starving, like just a playoff win, I think the bar is kind of low there too. So I think if you can manage the noise, you're going to be
division.
Then that division is tough. You got the Commanders and the Eagles playing on Sunday. But I think I still think that it's because the Cowboys weren't that far off last year, right? And because injuries and they're banged up this year, that kind of this season, excuse me, it's that kind of affected everything, right? I think that if they get a hard-nosed head coach, right? If you can go in there and honestly tell Jerry sometimes to shut up. Like, let me coach.
They had Bill Parcells, and he couldn't tell Jerry to shut up.
Look, man, I agree with you, but hey, look, that they gonna, because I think there's some level. Why do you think he's so infatuated with Dion? I think Dion is one of the few people that I think could tell him to, hey, get out of here.
No, Dion's not scared of Jerry sharing the spotlight, but it's Jerry's team. And this is the one thing that I always say: when you look at the Cowboys draft history, they don't need a first round pick to get a quarterback ever. Look at their ability to find talent. They are one of the better drafting teams in the NFL. Now, is the front office run right? Do they kill it in free agency? Probably not. But I think that they're good at assembling a roster. And okay, outside of Jerry want to be all in the microphone and want to be the Diddy of the NFL, no Diddy. It's outside of that, it's not. I don't disagree with you. It's not, but the expectation is going to be high.
Yeah, but I don't think they're as high as it once was, right? Only because of how bad they've been recently. I think if you win a playoff game, like especially in your first year, like you're gonna be hailed as like the second coming of Jesus, right? Let alone and that just gives you a place to build on. Again, not a bad roster, right? I think at this point you might want to start thinking of a succession plan for the quarterback position. But to your point, they've been so good at finding talent, right? Like Michael Parsons. Like I think Michael Parsons to me is one of the premier edge rushers in this league, right? And I was like pick 11, I think, right? Like that he wasn't top 5, and so just their ability to find talent, you got to give praise and credit where credit's due. So that's where I would go because I think the Jaguars, that roster is not the best either. So
no. You want the bright spotlight. I want no spotlight.
I'll take what it comes with, man. Gotta pay the cost to be the boss.
All right, so let's end this podcast with your predictions for who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now.
We're getting a rematch of 2022, right? The 2023 Super Bowl.
Chiefs and Eagles.
Chiefs and Eagles, yeah.
All right, I'm riding with that as well. I think it's going to be Chiefs and Eagles. I just think Josh Allen, for what he's been able to accomplish with this stripped down roster, and it was stripped down. This is a rebuild year for the Buffalo Bills, but they really turned up the volume on coaching, on player development, and it shows you what can be done when you actually have good front office people that can select and good coaches that can draft. I mean, good coaches that could develop. So props to Josh Allen for getting his team there, but I told you, man, this is the NFL needs this dynasty, man. That's how you become a $20 billion empire.
But before we wrap up, I meant to ask you this earlier when you brought up Ben Johnson. How do you feel about him putting the game on the line and putting the ball in the hands of his receiver to make a throw? And do you think that has any bearing on what he's going to do in Chicago?
I remember Ben being here, and there are coaches that really stand out to me. Ryan Crow is one of them because we get to interact with the coaches, and they get to leave an impression. Ryan Crow is one of them that made an immediate impression on me. I would love to see him coach his unit better, and but Ben Johnson, I don't even know if I could tell you what he coached when he was here. He just did, and I get it. Dan knows, so Dan knows what was happening behind the scenes. Unfortunately, in my opinion, if you can become a quarterback whisperer or a guy who could develop a quarterback or a guy who can get a quarterback to play at a higher level than what he's been playing, and let's not be naive, Jared Goff went from mid to that high grade.
Of course.
In the last 2 years or probably 1.5 years. If you could do that, you're going to get a head coaching job like this. Mm-hmm. And it's unfair because I personally believe, and I think, and after all these years of seeing so many failed coaches and so many alleged quarterback whisperers and so many offensive gurus, I believe that leaders of men are what makes good head coaches. Like, I know Darren Rizzi's going to be a good head coach whenever he gets that opportunity, if he ever gets that opportunity. I know Anthony Weaver is going to be a good head coach when he gets that opportunity. It's just a matter of when. I would love to see him have better talent on defense so he could put together a better showing. He coaches that side of the team. Mike McDaniel coaches this side of the team. And I personally believe it was great what you accomplished this year with nothing, but let's see what you could do with something. So it'll be interesting to see if he returns. I'm glad Ryan Crow returns. But to answer your question, I was not impressed with Ben Johnson. But I know he does what the easiest route is to get to the NFL head coaching spot, which is develop a quarterback. So,
amen to that.
Yeah. All right, folks. We will be back next week on Dolphins in Depth. So stay tuned. And I definitely want to encourage you to check out the series that I'm doing, which is Praise, Progress, and Possibilities. What you laughing at?
I'm sorry. You forgot the name.
I mean, I forgot. And you remember all your work? I
remember all the series that I'm currently working on.
All right. It's just a title. It looks at the praise, the problems,
praise, problems, and possibilities. Omar. Praise.
I'm getting old, man. My memory ain't working like it used to.
I see that.
All right. Of every unit, it looks at every unit and what are the possibilities in free agency in the draft. What are the problems? We right now we're wrap up the offense. Next week we're going to address some of the defensive spots where basically, and as I document, every unit of this team needs some work. Every single unit. There is a single unit that does not or will not need some work after they start purging the roster. So it'll be interesting, and hopefully you're paying attention to it in the Miami Herald. On that note, we are out.